Earl woke up next to Morgan. It kind of, the first time she wakes up inside the kingdom, it reminded me of the pilot when Rick woke up in Morgan's house.
Oh, yeah.
Handcuffed to his bed. What else? I feel like it's more and more clear to me that they did this cliffhanger instead of showing the death last season because they didn't want people left in that state of mind all summer. And the more I think about it that way, the more I think, even though they took a huge hit for, leaving people wanting all summer, I think that was better, because if they already lost 22% of their viewers within a week, I don't know, a summer might have really just soured people on it, and they knew that instead they would just have a week and have this show to help cheer people up, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That you're right. That might be, you're right. If I had had all summer long to sit with that episode, I would have been like, all right.
Yeah, maybe we should think about covering Westworld.
That's a good point. Woo! Hey, I have a couple notes.
Okay, good.
So I love Jerry's line, if you need me, holler. I keep in hollering range. Deuces,
Deuces,
which I think is so funny. I love that. Flash people the peace sign, say deuces. So cool. Also, The Talking Dead said some other things that were kind of great, including that it was filmed at a decommissioned military base owned by Tyler Perry, which is hilarious. And the name Shiva for the tiger, I was thinking about that. And in the Jewish faith, Shiva is what happens. It's the 7 formal days of mourning after somebody has died. And in Hindu faith, Shiva is a deity. Shiva is a destroyer as well as a creator. And interesting that both of those things have to do with death of her name. Very interesting.
I like it.
Yeah. And I also have to tell you about
it.
It is. It really is. Shiva. And a dog. If you have a dog or cat, Shiva. Another character that I really enjoyed was the character of Benjamin. I loved his little rant about I've read everything here twice, and he goes into his air conditioning text, the number one problem of all HVAC systems, refrigerant links. He's so great. And he seems to be a big brother to his little brother, and makes him eat his broccoli. And learning Aikido and asking Morgan about being a vegetarian. And he talks about, I'm just fumbling through. Actually, I think Morgan says, I'm just fumbling through. Sometimes we change our minds. And I just like the interaction between Morgan and Benjamin. And I look forward to seeing more of him. So
me too. Yeah, I like that guy.
Yep.
All the guys. And back, it's time to talk about our next sponsor, and that's Wink.
Yeah, so finding great wines is sometimes kind of tough, and that's why we've been telling you about our sponsor, Club W, and how they make it so easy to get wine personalized to your palate and delivered right to your door. And here's a little update for you. Club W is now called Winc, and that's spelled W-I-N-C. A new name and an improved look, but here's the important part. It's still the same amazing wine company introducing you to new wines you'll love. So I loved going to their website, and I loved receiving the wines because it's kind of like you get a little present at your door, and that's pretty neat. But really what I loved is that the wines taste so good. I love the ones that I got.
Me too. I've been getting some since we had them as a sponsor. I got them while we had them as a sponsor before, and I liked the wines, and some of them I loved. And then since then I've been using them, and I found a couple more wines that I'm just like, oh, these are the best.
Oh yeah. And even my big brother, who's a wine expert, and he's kind of a harsh critic, even he really, really liked the wines. And so I was like, all right, that's it. I'm in. So Winc works directly with winemakers and growers from all over the world to create delicious wines and deliver them right to your door. And Winc's 100% satisfaction guarantee means that if you don't like a bottle they send you, they'll replace it with a bottle you love. No questions asked. Actually, I haven't used that feature because I liked all the wines that they send me. And I don't just get sent random bottles. Winc is a personalized wine membership that recommends wines specifically for me based on the results of my palate profile quiz, which is really fun to take. It's on their website.
It's short
I also
and fun, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun. I also rate all the wines I receive from Wink. So I'll go back and I'll be like, yeah, that's the one I want. So that they learn with every order the kinds of wines I like. So sign up for Wink right now and gain immediate insider access to the best fine wines from all over the world. Find out for yourself why yours truly and thousands of other satisfied wine lovers are raving about Wink. The best part, Wink is offering our listeners $20 off right now when you go to trywink.com/deadcast. They will even cover the shipping, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
So I know
Yeah,
you get
free bottle of
fine wine, personalized to your palate, delivered right to your door. Try Wink and get $20 off and a complimentary shipping right now when you go to trywink.com/deadcast. That's trywinc.com/deadcast. And I also have to say, Thanksgiving is coming up. This would be a great thing. Stock up now for your wines.
It will help
Thanks,
you tolerate
Wink.
your relatives. Thanks, Wink.
Well said.
Obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens.
The people it kills get up and kill.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a Walking Deadcast news update.
There was an interview in Interview Magazine with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. A few parts I found interesting. They said, "Can you tell me which was the most difficult scene to film of the premiere episode?" He said, "Look, that whole episode was hard, and also because I did go through and smack everybody with Lucille at a certain point. Everybody took a hit. All of that was hard. It got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. Emotionally, I was completely drained. All of us were, I would imagine. They're all good people, and I love them, the whole cast. So to keep writing them as hard as I was writing them in between takes, it was like, God, you've got to catch your breath a little bit. It was just so fucking heavy at all times. In the show that aired, there's no let up, and it was like that for 10 days for us. It wasn't just 40 minutes of it. It was 10 days of that every day, all day."
Good. I'm glad it was hard for you. It was hard for us to watch.
Don't say that. You're like the listeners who are. Well, I guess you're right. I'm sorry. Why should I say that? You want it to be hard for him, not be easy for him, right? But it was hard. Like,
I'm kidding.
those guys were all pretty raw, which seems weird because they filmed it so long ago, but they seem different this time in Atlanta.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. They say, looking towards the rest of this season, is there a particular aspect of Negan's personality that you're looking forward to people seeing? He says, "I think that as we get to know him and see him in quieter moments, you'll see his charisma and his humor in a way that will be different than Lucille crashing into somebody's face, which I think will help."
Yeah.
It's hard for me to go, look, he's very charismatic and he's got this incredible wit to him when I'm killing people. I don't know if anyone's ever going to truly look at Negan and go, oh yeah, I get it. There's a guy in there that's awesome. That's the nature of the beast. Not that I'm going to make excuses for Negan, but we seem to forget as an audience and as fans of the show that Rick and Daryl and the rest of them killed probably 30, 40 of my men.
Yep.
And so far,
Yep.
I've only killed 2 of them. Negan just did
That's
it with
true.
some panache. Laugh. Haha.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
They killed a crap load of their people.
Right.
So yeah, if you're using mathematics to, they're still way behind on the asking.
Yeah, Negan has to kill 30 more of Rick's guys.
That's gonna be fun.
And I think that's about how many
Yay.
guys Rick has. Andrew Lincoln was interviewed in New York Post. He said, "The only cruel part of doing this job, apart from the weather in Atlanta midsummer, is the fact that you lose dear friends. Steven is one of my best friends, period. He's one of the founding fathers of this show. He was there in the tank when I first started, when I didn't have gray hair and he didn't have any facial hair. To lose him now, it makes the prospect of returning to Atlanta and doing this job less enjoyable. When I echoed that sentiment to Scott Gimple, he said, 'That's the point, unfortunately. That's the story we're telling.'" And then regarding new developments on the show lately, he says, "We've got a fucking tiger. I've never watched an episode of the show, but the thing I've become a bit of a junkie for is whenever I'm feeling a tad down or tired, I go up to Victor, the head of our effects department, and say, 'Show us the tiger.' And he shows us the tiger, and it makes me very, very happy."
He's never watched an episode of the show?
I don't know if he's ever watched an episode, but he doesn't watch it. No.
He just said, I've never seen an episode of the
He
show.
said, "Oh, you're right. Yeah, I've never watched an episode of the show. You're right."
That's weird. Is that weird?
I think it's some actors do that. I know Ted Danson never saw Cheers.
Oh.
I think that he likes to experience it in the moment and from Rick's perspective. And I think if he watches it, he feels like that pulls him out of it. And it will change. He's afraid it will change or make him self-conscious or change how he plays the part, you know?
Okay.
And I think that's cool and I respect it. The only part that gets me about that is I feel like, oh, it's so weird that this guy, that he's my favorite character and I love his show, that he doesn't even know he doesn't really know what it is that I'm seeing because he's never seen it.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
But if that's what it takes for him to do what he's doing, then I say
keep
totally
going.
do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Another interview with him in Entertainment Weekly, they asked, how does everybody else in Alexandria react when Rick comes back and tells everyone about the new rules? He says, aren't you Entertainment Weekly? You can't ask me that. I'm not allowed to spoil plot details. No, I'm just kidding. He says, all I will say is that this is a rocky road. It's a shocking beginning to a season, but it is the beginning of a season. That's what people have to remember. This is where we begin after the quake. This season is about rebuilding and about characters dealing with the trauma and grief of this brutal attack, but also this new regime that they are now a part of, and each react in their own individual ways. It's more Lord of the Rings than Lord of the Flies this season. I think he means that as far as just how the world's expanded, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. More Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So that's it for the news. Let's move on to Lister Moans, Groans, and Grunts.
Brains. This first one comes from Jenny Berghofer, who writes, that was just the palate cleanser we needed after last week, I think. It felt good to laugh a little. King Ezekiel and Shiva are delightfully over the top, and Carol's reaction to them was priceless.
Nice. Lynn Corso-Malinowski says, I never thought I'd feel chemistry between Carol and anyone besides Daryl, but I totally buy Ezekiel flirting with her.
Uh-huh.
She deserves to be rescued. Morgan got her as far as the kingdom. Ezekiel will take her home, so to speak.
Oh. And give her a pomegranate. Dana Thorpe Patterson writes, digging the zombie-fed hogs being sent to Negan's group. If they could lace some veggies with rat poison, it might make a nice side dish. That is great. That's some good diabolical thinking there, Dana.
Robin Cooper Simon says, Carol was in fine form. I love that scene where you just see her reach out and grab the knife and the chocolate. I also love the scene with her and Ezekiel because, quite honestly, if he hadn't gotten real, I think he might have gotten annoying very quickly. Yep. It'll be very interesting to see what happens when all these groups collide and how painful it will be to see Carol react to the loss of Glenn. I kept thinking about how she and Morgan had no idea what their friends were going through. Yeah, totally. That was another thing I was going to ask her is how does it feel to be on the outside of all this furor over the, what happened in the finale and everything in the premiere.
Again, because, she didn't experience Terminus like they experienced Terminus too. Laura Will Swink says, the pomegranate being predominantly featured in this episode, which I can't believe would grow in the cold Northeast unless the kingdom has a killer greenhouse, made me think of the myth of Hades and Persephone, where Persephone was forced to live in Hades 6 months of the year because she ate 6 pomegranate seeds. We know that Gimple likes his literary references. Could this be hinting at something? Yeah, and that's actually apparently the ancient Greeks had this whole myth about Persephone's being down in Hades for those 6 months to explain the seasons, because when Persephone was away, it would get cold and dark, and that was winter. Neat, huh?
It's neat, but it doesn't map as far as I can tell, does it? I mean, that would make the pomegranate a sign, a harbinger of something bad, which doesn't seem like it was.
Well, the pomegranate is also apparently, supposedly in Greece, you give pomegranates as a housewarming gift. And that's like a traditional welcome to your new home gift.
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Well, remember when
Hades
he gave
and
her a
Persephone.
pomegranate? Well, he likes his literary references. It doesn't really have anything to do with Hades and Persephone, but
Okay.
it just Gimple liking literary references. Another one is that you give.
But is it a
pomegranate
literary
when you-
reference if it has nothing to do with the literature in question? I mean, I guess there's a pomegranate in both of those, but is that
well,
it?
it's a cultural reference.
Okay,
How about that?
But that means that, yeah, I'm not really seeing the connection between this Persephone story, but maybe I'm missing something.
Well, maybe she's going through her 6 months in hell, and then eventually she'll come out into the sunlight.
Like a rehab center or something.
She's going through a hard time, and it's a journey, and then she comes out and she arises to the
Because
daylight.
it seems like she's already been through that journey, and if in the story, the giving of the pomegranate seeds is the cause of her having to go through the journey, that means she's about to go into something even darker than we've already seen her go through.
Help me, Laura. That's all I can say.
I think there's another letter about this later, so maybe we'll get some further insight on it. Karen Shi says, not a thrilling episode, but still held my interest throughout. Don't know if the episode would have succeeded if Carrie Payton, Lenny James, and Melissa McBride weren't brilliant actors. Love that Ezekiel came clean to Carol from the start, though that scene ran a little long and got very on the nose. My heart ached to see Stephen and Michael's names removed from the opening credits. Still not over it. Sigh. I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, they weren't in there. I also saw Stephen Yeun, but only from afar because he had about 1,000 people around him all weekend long.
He's the dude. Robin Price Daily writes, I loved it. Maybe because I was watching it with several hundred others at the close of the con. Maybe because I watched it back to back with the first episode and needed the comic relief. Maybe because it was just was a great episode. Love the comedy, love the king, and wow, the tiger. So well done.
That's pretty much how we felt. Mark Kirkman says, well, after last week's episode that I had predicted and still have friends yelling at me about. That's funny. The big fans, you get your friends yelling at you. Why did you make me watch that? This week's was a fun stray. Pretty much what I thought the writers were going to do. This will only prepare us for next week's grim problems.
Gabby Marewa, The Walking Dead at a screeching halt. What is it with this show that gets you on a high only to drop you on your head? What a waste of time. Wow. Gabby did not like it.
Not everyone thinks the same way. Melissa Neal says, I likes this episode. I love Carol. She's one of the most complex characters on the show. That's what you were saying, Karen. King Ezekiel is pretty funny. I loved how he saw right through Carol's facade. I will say I'm kind of shell-shocked from last week still. I kept expecting a barbed wire bat to come flying out of nowhere in some of the slower scenes.
Yeah. Janalee Curtis writes, I did a bit of community theater. Oh, how I loved how fun this episode was. I love the idea of the king, as that is exactly how my coping mechanism seems to function. We were truly given an escape this week, and I dread returning to the dastardly Negan next week. I feel the same way.
Really? I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's gonna, like I said last week, I wouldn't want a season full of episodes that dark, but I want to see what's going on with Negan and Daryl and all that.
Yeah, I think you're going to get your wish.
Yeah. Okay. Rima Joe says, I was so looking forward to this episode. I stayed up late after coming home from Walker Stalker Con to watch it, and it did not disappoint. After the premiere, this episode was needed. Love Morgan and Carol together, so hope to get more of that. When she swiped the knife in the chocolate, I laughed out loud. Don't mess with a woman and her chocolate. I also loved how Ezekiel called her out on her BS act, obviously, because he's playing a character too. I can't wait to see how all these worlds are going to collide this season. And if the first 2 episodes are any indication, this could be the best season yet. I think you could be right there. Yeah. It's so far, it's hard to look away from the TV. Well, actually, maybe the first episode was pretty easy to look away, but you get what I mean.
Don't mess with a woman and her chocolate. I'm just saying. Those are words to live by. Clifford Bayarjan.
I'm just making up these names for you.
You are so making them up. Come on, is there anyone that's named Jones? I'm excited to see what effect the tainted pork will have on the saviors. Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. Randy Stevenson says, hard to get into this one. I just want to know if Glenn is alive. The whole thing with Negan was filmed at such a weird angle.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, maybe Glenn's fine.
Yeah, why do they keep us waiting to find out?
Yeah, it's mean.
Well, we have a couple emails, but before we get to that, I will talk about our third and final sponsor, which is Distilled. Distilled makes stylish, comfortable luxury jeans at affordable prices. I wore mine at Walker Stalker Con on stage in front of 4,000 people for the Jeffrey Dean Morgan panel. But I wanted to look good and I wanted to be comfortable, and that's what these are. I think they look great, and they're a little stretchy, and they fit me anyway just right. And they will also let you send them back until you get the fit you like, so you can find a pair that's comfortable for you and that look great too. Distilled has revolutionized the fashion industry by creating timeless luxury grade denim. So you get the jeans that would cost you hundreds of dollars, but they start at just $65. They do that by refusing to work with department stores or retail middlemen. So there's no markup. There's no bullshit like that. There's just great jeans at an unbelievable price. And you can find all about it by going to distilled.com. That's DSTLD.com. And find the perfect pair with the perfect fit. They'll ship them to you for free, and they have a great style. They have a few t-shirts, they have some jackets and jeans. They only have a few things, and the few things that they do really well. And you got a jacket, right?
Yeah, I love it too. It's
How
so
is
well
it? Yeah,
made too.
I haven't talked to you since then.
Yeah, it's very stylish.
What's it like?
And it's black. It's a bomber jacket, and bombers are very
Cool,
hip right
man.
now. Yep. And
I wanna
it's
see what you look
black.
like in
It's a lovely material, and it's super well made. And it's simple. You can dress it up, dress it down. It's great.
Nice. Well, you can see for yourself why A-list celebrities have been spotted in magazines like Vogue and GQ wearing Distilled jeans, but you don't have to be a celebrity or have a stylist or even pay $100 to look amazing. Distilled starts at $65. So just go to distilled.com/deadcast right now to get $10 off your first pair. That's dstld.com/deadcast. You get $10 off. So you could be paying as little as $55. That's 5 letters, dstld.com/deadcast. And thanks to Distilled.
Thanks, Distilled.
Okay, email. Whose turn was it? I think it was
Mine.
yours.
Mine. Or you can have it, whatever.
No, go ahead.
Okay, this comes from Scott Smith, who writes, Jason and Karen, great episode and certainly a nice change of pace from last week. Lost both my wife and daughter as viewers, they say, after last week, but they both tuned in this week because they had heard that the well was much gentler. My daughter says, however, that if they kill the tiger, she is gone for good. One question for you. Do you buy the story that Benjamin was told about his father's death by walkers? Or do you think that his father and others in the kingdom were killed by Negan and the Saviors? My money is on Negan. Oh, God. Great podcast. Keep up the good work. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah,
now that you mention
now that you mention
you're
it,
probably right.
Yeah, because we know that Ezekiel likes to paint a nicer picture, although being eaten by walkers isn't a very nice picture, but he doesn't always tell them the truth.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Mofevo says, enjoyed the introduction to the kingdom. Very different introduction for us. Up to this point, we've entered every new community with anxiety and trust issues. Very unique to experience a new community with Morgan already, quote, clearing it for us. Will be interesting if you and fellow viewers also felt safe entering the kingdom. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Seems pretty friendly. I felt okay about Herschel's farm, too. The only thing about that was Herschel wasn't so sure he wanted them there, but he seemed like a nice dude.
Eventually. You people have to leave.
I mean, the first thing he did was try to help Carl.
Yeah. After he shot him.
He didn't shoot him. Otis did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So what is your hypothesis? She goes on. What is your hypothesis on Morgan's road/directional markings? I know you discussed in a previous podcast that they were tied to some hobo railroad code. But we don't think there are people following Morgan, so is it for Morgan to know where he's been, or do we think people are following him? Maybe there will be another Morgan flashback episode. I don't know, and I don't have any idea.
Yeah.
But if it would be interesting if there was something more to it, something like, is it for other people? I have a feeling it could just be for anyone. I don't know, though. I mean, the reason why, I don't even know if hobo is a politically correct word, but that they would do it for each other, right? To just tell any random hobo about whether this was a cool place to get food or something like that.
You're being a hoboist.
You know, that's what it was about. It's like, oh, here, you can get food here or something like that.
That's what the hobo code was all about.
And then she goes on. So, question of the day: would you eat a pig that has been feeding on zombies? How hungry would you have to be? I would hope that by 2 or 3 years in, you would have found out whether that was okay.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know whether it was okay, I would not eat it unless I was starving.
What if you cooked it? Like really cooked it? What if you made bacon out of it?
I would do that anyway. I mean, I wouldn't just eat a raw pig.
No, you can't eat a raw pig.
Yeah.
But if you cook it, maybe you cook the zombiness out of it.
Maybe. Well, like I'm saying, I wouldn't want to test that unless I absolutely had to.
Right. Maybe first you can feed it to somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just testing
would I
that.
feed it to? I can think of a person. I don't want to say this person's name. I would eat grass before I would do that, and leaves.
Yeah, you'd be grass fed, free range grass fed,
and then someone could eat me. What if you just ate a zombie? Would you be all right? Probably not.
Remember
Rotting
what's
flesh.
his butt ate part of wow, I'm really great with names. It's a skill I have. Remember he ate his leg and he was like, ah ha ha, I got bit.
Oh, Gareth ate Bob's leg, and Bob
Yes,
said,
at the
"Tainted
Bob
meat."
BBQ.
Yeah, that was an amazing scene. I don't think it would be good for the pigs actually to eat the zombies because it's rotting flesh. That's poisonous. Even if zombies weren't real, if you're going to eat a rotting corpse, I think you're going to get real sick.
You know what? I think pigs have really strong stomachs.
So they can eat corpses. Maybe you're right.
Yeah. I
We
feel
should
like
ask-
I feel like I'm right without any facts.
Just on a hunch.
Just
Okay, that's good enough for me. Let's move along.
All right. This next one comes from Cher Goodman, who writes, "So excited to have you guys back this season. My commute just got much better. I wanted to write about something from this second episode. First off, the writing has grown much more nuanced as the seasons have gone on. I first remember being very impressed with the Tyrese episode a while back. This time they pulled in some really cool Greek mythology. The story goes that Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest, was kidnapped by Hades, god of the underworld. While she was there, she ate 6 pomegranate seeds. No biggie, right? Well, Zeus finally got around to demanding her release, but at that point, it was too late. She had eaten the fruit of the underworld and was obligated to stay for 6 months, one for each seed. Demeter was a little irked at this, so when her daughter had to return to the underworld to fulfill her obligation every year, Demeter got all moody and made the trees and plants die, thus creating the seasons of fall and winter. When Persephone came home, it's all butterflies and sunshine, and that's spring and summer. So great. So when Ezekiel tries to share his pomegranate seeds with the reluctant Carol, I couldn't help but think that Hades on his throne looking down at Persephone. Fortunately, he was far less ominous, but the implication was clear, at least for Carol. She didn't want the fruit because it would oblige her to stay. Maybe to replenish that metaphoric well, he kept talking about it.
Because he kept saying, take from the well, give to the well.
Replenish
or
the
something
well,
like
right,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ezekiel's statement to her that she could go but not go was a perfect parallel to the story of Persephone. Ultimately, she goes, but then returns each year again and again. He mentions the contradiction of the pomegranate as well. It's sweet and bitter and so much work. It's the duality of the pomegranate which makes it such a fantastic symbol for Carol. Her dual nature, inner conflict, and even now her physical circumstances of being there but not completely there, all are embodied in that darn fruit. Thanks for reading this somewhat long email, guys. Have a great week. Looking forward to the show. Wow, Cher, baby,
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Cool. And I think Laura's probably going, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I said, you guys. But this makes more sense. I mean, I think it's not necessarily saying that she's doomed herself to a life of suffering, but it's more that she's just obliged to stay in this place. And that's what this is a symbol of. So,
yeah.
But it could also mean that there's dark times ahead, which is a pretty safe bet for this show.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. Leanne Hicks says, "Hey, Jason and Karen, thanks for your words last podcast about grieving and why we started watching the show to begin with. I needed that. I was super emotional for 2 days after the episode. Kept telling myself it's not real, but you do experience loss and grief despite the fictional aspect. So proud of you guys at Walker Stalker Con and how far you've come. So confident in running panels with most of the cast. Thanks to you both for making me laugh and cry.
Aw, thanks, Leanne.
You remember Leanne, right?
I do. She came to Walker Stalker Con on her honeymoon.
That's right.
Yeah, which I thought was awesome.
Okay, a few calls. This is Bex from San Jose.
Hey, Jason and Karen. This is Bex from San Jose. And I just wanted to say that so far this season, I am back in love with the show. I mean, I've always loved The Walking Dead, loved it, favorite show, but last season, there were some misses. And I watched The Well this morning. Happy Halloween. And totally in love. It was so well done. The interaction between Carol and King Ezekiel, just perfect. Even the music, perfect. And, last episode, before this one, was really traumatic, really unpleasant, but it was so beautifully done. It really was. I'm not one to be into gore. I don't like it at all, but it was appropriate. Anyway, I'm just really excited that I'm back completely in love with the show. And I just wanted to share the love. Anyway, hope you guys have a great Halloween. Bye.
Thanks, Bex.
Thank you. Haven't heard from her in a while.
Yeah.
Next is Greg from Connecticut.
Hey, Jason and Karen. This is Greg in Connecticut. With regard to the latest episode of The Walking Dead, I think that a lot of people will think this, but I think that we really needed an episode like this. After the darkest episode that we've had pretty much in the entirety of the run of the show, we saw probably the one most filled with hope. You saw what Alexandria could be if it was thriving and producing, and even though even if they have a deal with the Saviors, it doesn't matter. You can still do what you got to do, and you can still succeed. I really liked Ezekiel. I thought he did well. I liked the pairing of him and Carol. I thought they did really, really well together. And after an episode that was filled with so much distraught, it was really nice to see one that was literally the focus of it was hope and possibility. So I really liked it. I mean, and even the zombies that you saw, and you actually thought that there was a possibility of seeing somebody get completely wiped out. But all right, you guys have a good one. Look forward to next week. Bye.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, man. Yeah, zombies were pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the zombies, I've liked the way they treat the zombies on Fear the Walking Dead better lately, because they just seem more like scary, but there were some really creepy ones in this one that
there
made
were
me
some good ones.
remind me of Romero movies.
Cobwebby.
Yeah. Okay, this is Karen in Texas.
Hey guys, it's Kara in Texas. First of all, I just have to say, when I heard Scott Gimple and Robert Kirkman talking about how this week's episode was actually supposed to be funny, I thought they were full of shit. But I have to say, I found myself laughing out loud quite a few times at the very beginning, watching Carol's introduction to King Ezekiel. And I really liked how basically we as a viewer were being introduced to the kingdom just like Carol. We're seeing it from Carol's perspective. She's, been in kind of a haze of violence and is waking up in this strange place just like viewers are after dealing with the shit show that was last week's episode. And, first we're skeptical of Ezekiel. He's got a tiger. What the fuck? But I'm really, really excited for this storyline. I just had to call in. I hope you guys are recovering from last week's episode. I had whiskey. It helped.
I'm having some right now. Okay, one more call. This is Lucy from Scotland.
Oh my god, what a massive, big, warm, lovely hug of an episode! I could not stop grinning. I don't know if it was Ezekiel or Shiva or my favourite Bob Dylan song sung by an a cappella choir, or Melissa McBride's amazing acting, or Lenny James just being fucking awesome, or giving a bit of the finger to the fucking saviors with their pigs full of zombies. Oh, I don't know. It was just a pretty good episode, and I have to say, I didn't have hugely high expectations, but honestly, this is just wonderful. It really did nearly take away the sting of not seeing Stephen Yeun's name in the credits anymore. But I'm super optimistic. I'm really happy to see where this goes, and weirdly, I think Ezekiel translates better on the screen than he did in the comic.
Me too.
Like, you get more of a sense of his kind of personality that's kind of missing from the comic book pages, and I'm just all over Ezekiel/Carol. I mean, Jason, I called this. I did. I told you 2 months ago that I thought this was going to happen, so if it does happen, I was totally right. So, there you go. I don't think you even disagreed with me, but anyway. Excellent. I hope, Karen, that was a good one for you, because to me that seemed like exactly what was needed after last week. So, yay!
Yay!
Nice.
You know what? If I ever leave the show, I think Lucy should be your co-host. She's awesome.
I have asked her. Yeah, she'd be interested in coming in for a guest spot or something, but it's tough because she's in Scotland.
Right. Well, you don't mind doing our show at like 3 a.m., do you?
All right, that's it for Listener Moans, Groans, and Grunts. Thanks so much for all the messages and the calls, as usual, you guys. Now it's time for Comic Talk with Mr. Blog and Gracie Lou. Take it away, guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another riveting edition of Comic Talk. This week, I'm back, Mr. Blog, joined with Grace. As always, Grace, how you doing today?
Hello, doing great. Doing great. I'm a little more up than last week.
Yeah, I heard you guys. That was I was so bummed that I had to miss that one. I mean, there was so much to talk about that was straight out of the comic. And before we get started, you know what? I am going to go ahead and clarify one thing. Jason said last week, it's been gnawing at me all week. He said that I idolized Negan. Oh, no. I think he's an amazing character. Always through the comics, but idolize. Oh no, I think he's a monster. Always has been, always will be. But he also asked if it seems to me he's earning some trust.
Yeah,
he just saved Dwight.
Yeah, there's no way for me to deny it anymore right now. So
I hate to say it,
I'm
folks.
with you.
Mr. Blog's on the Negan train. Woo woo.
The reformed Negan train.
The reformed Negan, yes.
Hopefully, reformed Negan train.
Yeah. He also asked if it will affect how what I saw on the TV show this week will affect whether or not I view him differently in the comics in general. No, not at all, because in the comics he was a horrible monster as well, and time
so
does
you can
amazing.
Separate them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, time does amazing things to heal. I look forward to, and I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say I look forward to the events of the current comic situation with everything involved and how they're going to play that out in the show. I look forward to the coming evolution and everything that happens in what's coming next, but we're not here to talk about what's coming next. We're here to talk about episode 2 of season 7, The Well, and how it compares to the comics.
Yeah, well, we got some things that are pretty similar, and it was kind of between 2 volumes. The introduction of Ezekiel came out of volume 18, issue 108, and then most of the rest of the similarities came out of volume 19, around issue 110, I believe. So, I don't know, the kingdom looked great.
It looked amazing.
Ezekiel looked great. They had the buses, the same entry setup. With the school, the same auditorium and the throne, which was pretty cool. Though I think we don't see that till a little bit later. Ezekiel, I think, comes to meet them outside.
Outside, yeah. But of course, Ezekiel and Shiva, just in general. Now, I think the TV show is doing a better job of introducing us to the tertiary characters, the secondary character making up the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. think
we met Richard.
We met Richard, but we never really got in depth with any of the characters from the kingdom in the comic. Right. I think we got so much more with Richard, as you just pointed out. Jerry, we all love Jerry. I'm sure Jason and Karen have already talked about Jerry as well.
There's no Jerry in the comic.
No, there is no Jerry in the comic. And, you know, I watched it and I'm thinking, I don't know, were people saying deuces in 2010? I don't think so, but maybe they were. But I love that. And so we get the introduction. What did you think of Shiva?
I feel the same about Shiva as I did when she was introduced in the comics. I think having a tiger is really stupid. And I never really liked Shiva, but you know, they did a good job of interpreting the comic. I'll say that.
Well, here's something I really loved that the TV show did a better job of than the comic. I hated that we had to wait in the comics for so long to learn about Ezekiel's story, to learn about Shiva's story. And it was so great that we actually got that in this episode. So we didn't waste a whole bunch of time just assuming Ezekiel was insane.
True. I mean, it was like 2 issues later, but, you know, of course, that's like 2 months.
2 months, you know. And I remember for us, we were just like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever... What in the hell is going on? Why is there a tiger in the zombie apocalypse? And it was really nice, though, I thought, to get that out of the way as efficiently and effectively as they did on the show. I loved it.
Yeah, really they did a good job.
For one, who really hated Shiva at the beginning, who grew to love Shiva immensely, I thought they did a great job of the tiger in the show. Like you said, it was so true to the comics. Everything about it. I thought the CGI looked wonderful. My only complaint visually about Ezekiel is that, what's his name? Carrie.
I don't know.
I know. I'm getting it all wrong. I can't remember his name right now.
You don't like that he's not heavier, or what?
Well, in a way, actually, I really loved his portrayal, especially when he broke down the silly speak that you never liked from the comic, the whole medieval speak.
And thank God it's only him doing it. It's not like all the people.
Everybody,
like in the comic, it's all the people, you know, talking that way.
Heavier is part of it. Actually, more and I think he did a great job. I'm not even taking anything away from him, but he looked too young to match those gray dreads.
Yeah, I can see that.
It pulled me out of it a little bit because there wasn't.
I do think it was great that they got a voice actor though, because he could do the king and then the voice of when he like shed that worked really well.
Yeah, he's Cyborg in Teen Titans. Yeah.
So I heard. Okay, so should we talk about some of the differences, or
Sure, go ahead. I mean, you are much more prepared this week than I am.
As far as the introduction goes, the main differences are that, well, Morgan and Carol are dead in the comics, so they did not show up at the kingdom. It was Rick and Andrea and Carl and no. At first it was just Jesus and Rick.
That's right.
And Jesus introduces Rick to Ezekiel, and we get some of the same lines like, and I forgot to mention Ezekiel has a tiger. We get some of the same lines there. And then in the later scenes, it is Michonne that Ezekiel kind of lets the facade down and kind of lets Michonne in. He calls her the Fair Maiden and not Carol, and it was her that he meets out in the garden, though under different circumstances.
Do you think that they're gearing up for an Ezekiel-Carol relationship?
I think maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it, I guess.
No, I mean,
I don't think it's necessary, but
it's interesting. I feel like we have to keep finding, replacements for people who were Michonne's lovers throughout the show, whether it was Morgan or Tyrese or now Ezekiel.
Very true. Very true.
I guess Morgan.
But I liked they kept the whole story about the fact that he was a zookeeper and how Shiva had fallen into the moat and injured her leg. And
the only difference there. Well, go on. Sounds like you were maybe going to say it.
Well, I was just going to say, except in the comic, she did rip his belly kind of open a little bit.
Yeah.
But, were you going to say something else?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Okay. Is that in the comic, Shiva does attack him and whatever. But I think it's nicer that he didn't, or that she didn't. That there's a little more friendly tiger thing going on.
Well, I think in the comic he said that after that, and she felt sorry, and she never turned a tooth or whatever he said, exactly like the TV show never showed a tooth or something like that. But
I really enjoyed it.
The only thing I missed having Carol instead of Michonne at this point, maybe later I'll miss some different things, but at this point is that we don't get the scene where Michonne gets mad at him, pulls out her katana, and then he pulls out his sword. And he said, Rick's like, calm down, calm down. He's like, no worries. I simply wanted to see if mine was bigger. Then he said,
that may happen. That may happen.
Maybe we'll get that down the line with Michonne, I suppose.
I mean, they just haven't met yet. I love that they even got his staff, the little emblem on the top of his staff correct. It's exactly as it is in the comics. And the feathers in his hair. They are there. The feathers are there. So a lot of the similarities, I'd say, in this episode have more to do with the visuals more than anything else, and of course the introductions. And the introduction. So that was really nice. And the feel, totally. The kingdom felt right. And I think in the show we get a little bit more of the sense of the size of the kingdom than we ever really did in the comic. I mean,
they spent very, very little time there, and like you said, we never really met any of the tertiary characters. So, some good stuff.
Yes, and I'm kind of happy to see more of the kingdom than we ever did in the comics. So, yay to that! I'm very pleased to have a new, this new era of The Walking Dead. It really is. That issue 100, Glenn's death was an absolute turning point in this comic, and that was, if you recall, really broke up the monotony that had begun to feel like Alexandria. Then there was a little buildup going up to that we knew something big was happening. Something to fear, of course, was the big deal. Do you remember way back when we saw what ended up being Dwight with the crossbow, but on the cover, when everybody saw the crossbow on the cover, everybody started thinking, "Oh, Daryl's coming into the comic." That was
I think that was a big fuck you from Kirkman.
I really do as well. So, a wonderful thing. I'm really happy to be talking about this in the coming weeks when we get into this story, because as we know, there's a lot of great stuff. Although we probably will have some episodes we're not going to be on when we get to the Tara Heath stuff or whatever else is. Who knows what direction it's going to go? But I think we do know where it's going to end up, and I'm looking forward to it all. So, Grace, anything else you want to say on this before we release the show back to Jason and Karen?
I don't think so.
All right. And as we release the tiger, roar, there it goes. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we're back. Thank you, Mr. Blah and Gracie Lou. Now it's time for next week on The Walking Dead.
Next week on The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 3. The title is The Cell.
The well and then the cell.
Right, exactly. The description is fairly short. We're not in the kingdom anymore, so nothing good can happen. I'm just kidding.
So why don't we get back to the kingdom? Jeez.
That doesn't happen. So in my head, as
what if
I'm
they
reading,
just did a spin-off called The Kingdom, and it was guaranteed that nothing bad would ever happen?
Yeah, I would love
you want
it.
to podcast about that show instead?
Hell yeah.
Okay, have fun. I hope you find a good partner.
All right, I'm gonna read this real description.
Okay.
And in my head, by the way, the Benny Hill theme is running. Daryl is taken by Negan to the sanctuary, home of the Saviors. Meanwhile, Dwight is sent on a mission to bring back a runaway member of his group. Dun, dun, dun. And there were two. There's a couple previews that I saw. Did you see any previews yourself?
I think I might have saw a really short one, but I don't really remember it.
So
I think it was at Walker Stalker, so I wasn't paying close attention.
There was a couple.
But I saw Daryl.
In a prison cell, not looking happy. He's kneeling with Dwight. And then you also hear a woman who tells him that things can get a lot worse. Yay, that's great. Then there's another preview at the sanctuary, and Dwight is looking hard at a group of Zeds in a training pen. It looked like it was sort of like a place where you could sort of hone your Zed skills, I think. And there's a couple guys running through the training pen. It was hard to tell what exactly was happening. And one of the zombies in particular is sort of speared down its sort of center, not its head, but maybe its back, and it tries to stand up, and then it keeps falling down to its knees. And so and Dwight looks at it hard, so maybe Dwight's thinking, I don't know. I don't know what Dwight is thinking. But anyway, we'll find out next week.
It's enough, just to know that we're going to go find out what happened with Daryl. And I think I'm interested to find out what happened with Daryl.
Yeah.
They took him away.
It's not all sunshine and lollipops, I can tell you that.
I guarantee you I will bet anyone any amount of money that if I can put up a stake that Daryl will not get the same treatment as Glenn and Abraham next week. So you don't need to worry about that.
Okay. I feel much more relaxed. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. If that does happen, I'll be like, oh, geez, sorry.
I owe everyone a Coke.
I totally didn't know that would ever happen.